Good day, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, Delving into New Horizons. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about the negative effects of extreme weather on farmers, its connection with SGD 13, climate action, and our own experiences with this problem, and ways how we can alleviate these problems.
To introduce the guests for today, we will have four speakers for present: Chilo Filialan, Cassie Agustin, Juan Bagalaksa, and John Yape, led by our host, Sed Gabriel Lucero, and the co-host, yours truly, Michaela Abrina.
To get things started, let me introduce the first speaker, Cassie Agustin, an Ado Senior High School student, to share with us his experiences with extreme weather while studying. Hi, Cassie. How are you today?
Good day to you, Seth. To start off, I'd like to address the fact that this year has been very rough, as at the start of the year, it was very cold. There were uh, a few instances of downpour, and I think that that has affected students greatly, especially those who walk to school and to those commuting, as it may pose as a hindrance to them when they're headed to school or going home from school. Now, as for the second half of this year, um, it's been quite hot. There's been a drastic increase in our temperature, and I think that it's very distracting, especially for us students, since it's our exams are nearing. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie. As a student who walks to school every day myself, I can really relate to what you have said. Going to school through strong rains and head-aching heat waves really shows how a student faces challenges just to go to school. And now, to introduce another Ado Senior High School student, Shilo Filialan, to share with us her observations of extreme weather on farmers. Hi, Shilo. How are you?
Hi, Seth. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here with you all, and I'm very excited to share my experiences. Well, I actually came from a family of rice farmers here in Mindanao, specifically from North Cotabato. My family has been farming this staple crop for generations already, and it's what fed us and it's what kept us moving. It's a beautiful place with fields stretching out like a green sea. But as beautiful as it sounds, the reality of farming has been changing dramatically, and not for the better. The heat waves, my God, almost 40 degrees Celsius, and the unpredictable rain, just like earlier, it's like the weather has turned against us. And despite moving to the city for school, my roots and concerns for our farm and many others remain strong, especially as we face increasing climate challenges.
That sounds incredibly tough. And yes, we're hearing a lot about the current heat wave. Can you share us a specific story from your experience that really highlighted these challenges?
Yes, sure. Because I grew up in a farm, I really witnessed how devastating it is. I I remember one season when the rain just didn't come. The fields were cracked and dry, and I could see the stress in my uncle and Lala's eyes. They were praying and begging for the skies to rain already because rice, requires a lot of water. And consistent heat can stress the plants, reduce yields, and in some cases, it may destroy the entire crops if not managed carefully. And when the rain finally came, it poured so hard that the young rice plants were nearly washed away. Could you imagine the effect of such devastation? From the dry and cracked soils to a sudden storm? These weather extremes are not just minor inconvenience. They threaten food security and livelihood. Those moments just stick with you. They show how vulnerable we are to the nature's whims.
It's really sobering to hear that. How are these experiences shaping your views now that you're studying here in the city?
Moving to the city opened my eyes to how disconnected many people are from the sources of their food. Here, food just appears on supermarket shelves. But back home, a bad season is a massive threat to the living of our family. It made me passionate about using my education to make a difference. I'm actually part of a club, the Laudato Si Terra Club of Ateneo, and we advocate for the environment. I realized that we often underestimate the power of every action. A simple throw of a plastic to the surrounding means nothing to us, but it has a profound impact to the environment.
Very well said, Sheila. Thank you for sharing with us your first-hand experience with climate and opening our eyes into new perspectives.
Now, to introduce another guest, let's welcome Juan Miguel Bogalaksa to share statistics about the impact of extreme weather on farmers. Can you share with us what you have researched about?
So, first of all, good evening to everyone. Good evening to the audiences. And thank you for inviting me here on your podcast this evening. So, I'm going to share a statistic based on the research that I've made based on this topic. Basing on a research paper from the Consultative Group for International Agriculture Research, every 4 million farmers in Mindanao, only 700,000 produce marketable crops. This means only a small portion of farmers are able to produce quality crops to sustain their livelihoods.
Okay.
Factors like unpredictable weather patterns and shifting growing seasons exacerbate disparities in crop production. While some farmers adapt with resilient practices, many struggle, leading to decreased productivity and crop failures. Addressing climate change's impact on agriculture is crucial not only for environmental preservation, but also for safeguarding livelihoods and ensuring food security in Mindanao.
Wow, I didn't know that many farmers have suffered due to climate change. Can you further enhance our understanding by sharing with us how SDG 30 connects with the social issues?
Certainly, well, SDG 13, climate action, urges to take action to combat climate change and its impacts. Connected to our social issue, SDG number 13 and the negative effects of extreme weather on agriculture are closely linked, highlighting the urgent need to address climate change to safeguard food security, protect livelihoods, and promote sustainable development. Thank you,
Thank
that's
you,
all.
JM, for sharing your insights on this important issue. It's evident that addressing the effects of extreme weather on farmers is a key component of climate action and achieving SDG 13.
Thank you, Mikay. And now to introduce our final speaker to share his thoughts on why is it important to address the problem. John, how are you today?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the time. So, addressing the effects of extreme weather in agriculture is very vital for ensuring food security, economic stability, and the livelihood of millions worldwide who depends on farming. Extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, and heat waves can lead to crop failures, livestock losses, and economic hardship for farmers and rural communities. And additionally, these events can worsen environmental degradation, posing threats to natural resources and biodiversity. By implementing measures to ease the impacts of extreme weather on agriculture, we can promote sustainable farming practices, safeguard food production, and protect the environment. This includes investing in climate resilient crops, improving water management systems, and supporting farmers in adopting sustainable land management practices. Furthermore, Addressing the effects of extreme weather in agriculture is essential for building resilience to climate change and ensuring the long term sustainability of food systems for future generations. And that is why um, addressing the effects of extreme weather in agriculture is very important so that we can help people that is in need. And that's all. Thank you.
Wow, that's great, John. Your insights really emphasize the importance of addressing this issue head on. It's clear that action is needed now to protect both farmers and our planet for future generations. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Yes, thank you, John. And to summarize this podcast, let me ask Cassie to present what we have discussed today. Cassie, can you take on the floor?
Certainly, Seth. Now, to sum everything up, we tackled how this issue not only affects us students, but also Mindanaoan farmers who rely on farming as their main source of income. We learned how this issue strained the learning of many students and how it affected their studies. And many Mindanaoan farmers are experiencing a plethora of effects due to extreme weather, from low crop yields to trouble producing a marketable produce. Fields that once thrived under predictable seasons now lie barren or struggle to produce. Reduced yields means less income, making it difficult to put food on the table for the farmers' families. And with this, purchase of essential supplies for the next planting season may be a lot more difficult. The financial strain is immense, pushing some farmers deeper into debt and forcing them to make tough decisions about their livelihoods. This really is an issue that we Filipinos do not face alone.
Thank you, Cassie, for sharing a very good point. And now let us hear from Shiloh the ways in adapting to such conditions and the ways to help mitigate these challenges. Hi, Shiloh.
So, okay. Well, on our farm, we've had to adjust our planting schedules and invest in more efficient irrigation methods to cope with the longer periods of drought followed by intense rainfall. Many farmers in Mindanao are now turning to climate resilient varieties of rice that can withstand erratic weather patterns. Additionally, in SDG 13, there is a growing emphasis on sustainable farming techniques such as organic farming, which help maintain soil health and reduce dependency on inputs that can harm the environment. Also, everyone has a role to play in combating climate change. Simple actions like reducing energy consumption, choosing sustainable products, and supporting policies that promote renewable energy can lessen the pressure on our environment. For those of us in urban areas, understanding and advocating for the needs of rural communities, especially farmers, is vital. We can support local produce, which not only help reduce carbon footprints, but also support local farmers.
That's really moving. Do you have a message for our listeners tonight?
Yes, again, thank you for having me. I'd say remember that every choice you make has an impact, no matter how small it seems. Whether it's how you shop, how you travel, or how you vote, you're influencing the world. And to those listening who feel their efforts are just a drop in the ocean, remember that the ocean is made up of drops. We can each be a drop that starts a wave of change.
Very well said, Shiloh. Thank you for sharing with us. And for all the guests who shared our valuable information that opened our eyes for us in the podcast and for the possible viewers watching this, thank you. And to end this podcast, I'd like to share a quote by Gro Harlem Brundtland. Sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. With that said, thank you for tuning with us until the end. And goodbye.
Bye. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Mikay.